Hi, I am Carrie Phillips Christensen, and today's topic is how to design learner-centered online courses. As you can see here, the typical learning environment, especially face-to-face, is here on the left. This is a great model where the teacher in blue is the center of the lesson and really is at the top of the learning pyramid. Sends the course material out to students, and it's just a linear process. But when we move to an online world, we can create a learning experience that's actually very different than the face-to-face classroom. And so you can even see, compared to the linear process here, we've got a circular process here that has the teacher as a part of the circle, but not at the center of the circle. In fact, the students are at the center. But in an online world, we can do multiple things at the same time, which creates this well-rounded experience as opposed to the old way of teaching. And so if we really want to shift to a learner-centered instruction, it will require a design shift. So how you approach this design shift depends on what you value most as an educator. We've got 4 different scholars here that they all support Constructivism as a theory for how we should design online learning, but they all emphasize slightly different components. So first, Huang in 2002 really emphasized just Constructivism as a theory, and I would say in 2002 we were kind of the earliest stages of what we would call, what we start to imagine now for online learning. So it would make sense that Huang is going to be embracing the theory, because with the theory then forces us to consider how do we practically apply that into classrooms. And so that leads us to our next scholar, and 2012 really emphasized the practical aspects of design. She talks about how teachers are, willing to move online, but they're failing to really integrate what technology can do. And so Anne proposes using a framework, and specifically the TPAC model, for how to design a course. And so she really provides a practical viewpoint on how to design for an online course. And then we've got Key and Kwak from 2013. They were really focused on the learner experience. And so how were they experiencing the online course? And through that study, they were considering what would be best to drive their design. And then finally, we've got McCombs 2015. She really was valuing the role of social media, and it really makes sense by 2015, that evolution of over 10 years of online learning developing slowly, but also just technology and social media in general. So it makes sense that while she is a social constructivist for sure, she really is emphasizing the use of social media as a way to increase engagement in an online learning environment. And so while they all approach Constructivism differently, they have a few things in common. So these guidelines: 1, online course design should be learner-centered, not content or teacher-centered. All 4 scholars support this idea that the learner should be at the forefront of our mind when we're designing. So as educators, we should be thinking about what is the student going to need, what is the student going to experience, what is the student cognitively having to deal with. We don't want to overload them with technology plus content, and so the learner should definitely be at the forefront of your design and not just doing the old way of the teacher kind of gets to do whatever he or she wants. And then a second guideline would be social constructivism should be the underpinning theory for the design. They all support social constructivism, and so If you're a designer starting out, it would really help you to study social constructivism so that that can really drive any practical design and framework you use. So creating a constructivist classroom, online especially, is a slightly different way to design a class than the old school, the teacher to content to student. A constructivist classroom, you have to consider the visual environment, what the teacher is doing and what the learner is doing. And the whole point is trying to bring learners together to learn together, but also to contribute together, to create together, where they all have a piece of the puzzle and you've got to come together to figure out the whole picture. And the teacher becomes more of a facilitator. And so this leads to two interesting components for social constructivism. For online learning, we still need to have personalized learning that meets individual learner needs. So this is a little bit strange coming from a constructivist point of view, but specifically for online learning, students have to be, with especially technology access, students, we have the technology and the support to provide individual need for learners. So whether that's one-on-one support, whether that's working alone versus working in teams, technology allows us to do that. And so we do want to work in a social constructivist environment, but the technology empowers us to meet individual learner needs, and those just really are dependent on the student. And then fourth, they all are claiming that collaboration is where multiple perspectives are interpreted. And so collaboration is not just group work, it's where everyone's view meshes together to create something new. Because collaboration and sharing knowledge are highly prized skills. And finally, the fifth guideline would be an authentic learning experience. They all promote an authentic learning experience, something that's practical and relevant to the student. And I liked this quote. It says, "Content without purpose is only trivia." So we're not here to have students memorize content. We want them to have a purpose, an understanding of where that knowledge fits in the world. And so often with collaborative and online learning environments, there's a lot of problem solving and project-based learning that's very practical and authentic. So if we're going to change the future of online learning, then we must change how we approach our designs. Thank you so much. Here are my references, and this is me, Carrie Phillips Christensen. Here's my contact information. If you want more, if you got some questions for me, I am available. Thank you so much.